The mayor of Côte-des-Neiges-NDG says it was a key issue voters raised during her election campaign.
They wanted to see concrete signs, and this is one of them, to be able to have that investment in our borough, inside the first 100 days. It's really good news for us. Faire en sorte que les Montréalais s'approprient des nouvelles façons de se déplacer dans la ville. On veut faire de quartier Namur-Hippodrome un exemple, et ce quartier-là, le développement commence dans Côte-des-Neiges et non pas dans les Villiers avec Cavendish.
Okay. Both of those clips, by the way, are NDG Côte-des-Neiges Mayor Gracia Kasoki-Katahwa, who's on the line with us, and they were posted yesterday on X, formerly Twitter, by, of all people, Alan DeSousa, the mayor of Saint-Laurent, Montreal City Councilor with Ensemble Montreal, the opposition at City Hall. They are both on the line. Alan, I'm going to start by asking you why you posted this. What prompted you to do this?
Well, thanks for having me on, Aaron, and I guess let me cut to the chase. We had a very simple resolution brought to council asking the administration to keep its word, to do its environmental studies, to put Cavendish back in place, and lastly, to respect their own deadline that they put to the BAP hearing. And to my surprise, on their own issues that they had brought forward, or the agreements that they have, they refused to vote in favor. So it's very clear. The administration is pulling the plug on Cavendish, and despite what is being said, I just don't think they should be allowed to get away with it. Okay, so the contention here is this is just yet another delay in this project. No, not a delay.
What is it?
I think this is a cancellation.
Okay.
Because when you call delays, it means kicking the ball down the road 10, 15 years. To me, that's a cancellation.
All right.
We've talked about Cavendish for 70 years, and to be able to want to talk about it for the next 85 years makes no sense at all.
Gracia Kasoki-Katahwa, as I said, is on the line. Thank you for being here. You've heard what Alan has to say. You also heard a very different approach from yourself 2 years ago to what you said the other day in City Council. Why the change?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Sure.
So I just want to say I'm really a bit disappointed of what my esteemed colleague, honestly, Alan DeSousa, is saying. We never said that we're cancelling Cavendish. We are still committed to do Cavendish, the Cavendish extension, and my colleague Robert Boudry explained that very well at council. They just decided to take a part of the clip. What I explained is Montrealers want housing right now. We are in a crisis. And the same way we were able, our administration, to unlock Blue Bonnets with 20,000 housing, we're going to work the same way to be able to do the Cavendish extension. The extension is not simple. So what you heard me say at the beginning of the mandate, it was one of the first action that we did when we started this mandate. It was a good news. But there's complications that came up with the Cavendish extension. For example, there is, sorry for the word in French, but there's a nappe phréatique at the place where we should, do the extension. So we need to do, okay, now that we have that, what do we do to make sure that the extension is not always flooded? So there's things like that ask us to go back to the Table Dessin and see how we are able to move forward with Cavendish. We never said that we're not going to do the extension. We're just saying that for us right now, we are really happy, and it's a good news for everyone that we're able to unlock Blue Bonnet with 20,000 housing. I just want to remind that. And while we do that, we're going to continue to work on the Cavendish extension. So I'm really sorry to hear my colleague that is honestly lying to the people right now. And I understand, Alan DeSousa is an esteemed colleague. He's an elder for me. Honestly, he's been around since the 90s. And I think right now he's just mad that we are the one who were able to unlock Blue Bonnet and might be able to unlock Cavendish.
Those are fighting words there, Alan. She called you an esteemed colleague and then said, you've been around for a long time. But I have a question here. With all due respect, Mayor, this idea of you didn't cancel, you're just delaying it, to Alan's point, and it's hard not to agree for people who've been around for a while. This project is now, 40 years, 45 years into this project? To simply say, well, we found out there's something here we never considered before, that seems a little rich. Nothing new has happened in the site. We've known all this for years.
No, we didn't know all that for years. So, we've been discussing Cavendish for years. You are absolutely right. But we are the administration who are actually planning the extension of Cavendish. So that means doing the studies. And when you do the studies, you find out elements that you need to consider in the planning of the extension. So that's what we are facing right now. The same way, the opposition has been saying, we've had the deal for the Bluebonnets since 2017, but they never planned the infrastructures under. So we had to plan that. So that's why it took a while, and we were able to unlock that now. So the same way we are looking at the little blockage that we have for the Cavendish extension, we are working on it. We're going to work with our different partners, and we are confident that we're going to be able to move forward. But, this is reality. I'm being honest with the population. It's not an easy project to develop. There's some challenges. We're going to overcome them, and it might take a while, but we are working on it.
I will also, before I get back to Alan, I know he'd like to say something. I will point out this idea at the Hippodrome at Bluebonnets. It's all well and good to say there'll be 20,000 housing units. I was with the mayor when she talked about this. This is a plan. There are no shovels in the ground, and I know she said there would be by 2025, but we've heard that song and dance before. So as I said, it's all well and good to say this is part of your plan, but until the plan turns into something, nothing is going on. But Alan, I'll turn it over to you. What would you like to say?
Well, my fight is not with Gracia, but I think she's got to be coherent. Let's recognize this, that if this looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, waddles like a duck, it must be a duck. And in this case, when the opportunity came for them to do the studies, they've had that since 2022, since they went to BAP. So any studies that are being said that should have been done could and should have been done by the administration. Money was reserved. They were in BAP in 2022, Aaron, and we're in 2024, and nothing was done. They got the land in 2017, just after the election. Nothing was done. So Gracia is right. I do have an institutional memory. I do remember. And all I'm saying is that previous administrations were able to convince the correct government to give the city of the land that is currently called Bluebonnets. But it was also conditional that they put Cavendish into the pipe, and they budgeted for it, and they did that. And if that was one of the reasons and conditions, why is the city not respecting that agreement? And why are they not doing when they could have done all of the studies years ago?
So, Gracia, I will ask you, why the delay then? This, as I said, keeps getting pushed further and further down the road. You say there are more important things to do. You keep mentioning the 20,000 housing units, and I get that, and that's a wonderful idea if it ever happens. Why not just simply go ahead and do Cavendish at the same time? Why are we delaying this?
I think it's really important to be honest with the citizens here. It's not because we say we want to do Cavendish and we just do it, the next day. Like, it needs to be planned. And I know that my colleague keeps repeating everywhere, and every time somebody's talking about Bluebonnets, that they did the agreement in 2017. Fine, but there's no infrastructure. So how are we going to build housing in somewhere where there's no infrastructure? And I'm talking about Bluebonnets. So we had to plan that. And it took several years. And if we go back, during the last year, the opposition was saying, the administration, they're not able to unlock Bluebonnets. Well, we did it because we're able to work with partners. We're able to gather the federal government, provincial, city, the private sector, the community sector to come with a common vision. So my point here is the news that we announced a couple of weeks ago is a great news for Côte-des-Neiges, NDG, for Montreal, and for Quebec. It's the biggest housing project in the province of Quebec for the next 10 years, okay? We're working on that, and there's going to be a link between Jean Talon and Cavendish that we in that plan. But while we do that, we are still working on Cavendish extension, and it takes a while. It takes a while because we have to go through the CP, the CN. I told you there's enough phreatic under. And maybe the last thing I want to say, one of the reasons, honestly, that it was delayed also is because there was a lot of discussion with the cities around and the boroughs like Saint-Laurent, where they just wanted to do an autoroute with the Cavendish extension. Our administration, we have the vision and we understand that we cannot build cities like that, and we're going to do a structural, a collective transportation option for Cavendish. So it took a while to discuss that with them. Now that everybody agrees how we need to move forward, we started the study, and now there's some challenges that we are going to overcome, but it takes time. So we need to stop lying to people and saying that it's simple to do the Cavendish extension. It's not simple. There's challenges, and we are working on them. But I disagree when people say that we cannot move forward with a 20,000 units, basically a new city in the city in Côte-des-Neiges, because we're not doing the autoroute to Saint-Laurent. For me, This is neglecting the needs of the people of Côte-des-Neiges, and I don't agree with that. And that's what I said during council. We're not going to neglect the people and the needs of the people of Côte-des-Neiges because we need an autoroute to Saint-Laurent. We're still going to do the extension. We're working on it. But I don't want anybody to say that we have to stop the Blue Bonnet project because we didn't yet find a way to move forward with the Cavendish extension. For me, it doesn't make sense.
I'm going to run out of time. I do want to say one thing. I spoke to Andrew Lutfi, who's the developer doing the Royal Mount project, which is right next door to the Blue Bonnets project, and said something to me because I'd asked the mayor, and she said, and you just said it now, you have federal money, provincial money finally to move ahead. And his point was that money is for a plan, not for actually construction. Nothing to get built, just to come up with a plan. So I think, based on that, from someone who might know, that we're years away from seeing that come to realization. But I have to leave it at that. Alan, I'm going to give you the final word.
Say that this is another case of Aaron out the Plante administration doing it, fooling us with smoke and mirrors. They did it with the pink line, and everyone bought into that. And now, what do we know about the pink line? Nothing. They promised social housing, 60,000 units, and when the Ensemble Montreal did their study, they found there was nothing there. They promised Cavendish, and now they've canceled Cavendish. And now they're promising 20,000 units. And at the information meeting that I went to, I didn't find any resident of CDN-NDG who believed them when they said that they're going to put 20,000 units, particularly when you think that half of those units are going to be social and affordable housing, and for which the city doesn't have the money to come up with the infrastructure. $6 million is not going to take us anywhere fast. And in fact, the only thing Mayor Kasoki-Katahwa talked about is a link on Jean Talon to Cavendish is a link to nowhere, because Cavendish is not going to be built. So it's fine for them to talk about it, but look, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice or two times or three times. Well, hey, I think the Plante administration has to recognize that Montrealers are not ready to be fooled. And
that's where I'm going to have to leave it. We need to do this more often. It's nice to hear both sides in the administration here, and of course the opposition as well. It's kind of nice to hear you both. Gracia, I thank you so much for your time. Alan, I thank you for yours. That's where we'll leave it. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
You bet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.